everyone, and welcome back. This is Shayna Meyer with Lucky M Boer Goats, and this morning I wanted to take just a couple quick minutes to go over labor and delivery at least with Boer Goats. I don't have experience with other breeds, but to go over labor and delivery, some of the things that I watch for and do in my expectations at that time, and I thought it'd be easier if I just did this in Brandon's office because I finally actually have 20 minutes to get this done because it's been so busy. He's running kids to school and I have a dentist appointment here that as soon as he gets back, so I thought I'd try and crank this out really quick. But I have notes to hopefully make this a little bit more concise. But anyway, as my disclaimer, this is how I handle labor and delivery, and I've only ever had Boer Goats, and sometimes from the stuff I read, like you'll if you're ever Googling labor and delivery with goats, you'll come across so much stuff with ligaments. And I have found, at least with Boer Goats, ligaments are not a reliable sign that labor is imminent. Grace, which I have a video of her delivery on our channel, she still had, I even checked them while she was in labor, and she still had ligaments. And so for me, I don't know, I guess ligaments are a mystery that maybe I don't understand entirely, but I don't trust them as an early sign or a first sign of imminent labor, at least not for my Boers. Now, some of them do. Spotty lost her ligaments the morning that she went into labor, and then I knew that she was in labor. But anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a sidebar. Okay, so when you Google or YouTube or whatever the signs of labor in goats, usually some of the things that you're going to come across are the ligaments, like I had just said, or a change in behavior, or exceptional udder development. It's like they had an udder and now it has just exploded and gotten huge. They'll pull themselves away from the herd. So behavior change. For me, with my goats, out of any of the, and I know I'm missing some, but out of any of the signs that labor is imminent, the two that are always the surest to me are that exceptional udder development. And I mean, you'll know very, very few of mine, only, how do I even say this? Most of mine, their udder will just get huge. I mean, like, you'll walk out and be like, oh wow, today's the day. Like, this is definitely, or you'll do your 2 a.m. check and their udder will just be exceptionally big, and it's like, yeah, today's the day, no doubt. I think it was only one, I think it's Spotty. She always has a large udder. She's a really good producer, and so she does get bigger, but she's so large to start that you have to know her and know what you're watching for. But anyway, udder development is my number one go-to. And then my next is behavior. And this one's a little harder to explain. Hopefully I've captured it in some of my videos. It would have been unintentionally captured it. But what they'll do, they'll just be off by themselves, and they'll just look distracted. Or look like they can't quite get comfortable with just their body. They'll just be restless. Some people will tell you that, well, when they go off feed, or like when they don't come up for supper, that's a sign that labor is imminent. And even though I do agree, especially if you have a due date and you know that either she's overdue or she is she's due within the next couple days, missing, breakfast or supper once is okay, because that probably means she's going to go within the next, I'd say, 12 hours. Now, if she goes off feed and stays off feed and she's a ways from delivery, going off feed is also a sign of pregnancy toxemia, and toxemia kills. And so that is something that you have to move on very, very fast. We have not had any go toxemic this last round, and we've been keeping a really close eye because I know I have lots of multiples in this next group coming up. I can do a video on toxemia separately. That is its own beast, and it does kill. If you don't get it under control. I compare it to the opposite of gestational diabetes in humans. So, like, I've never had gestational diabetes, but when you have gestational diabetes, you need less sugar. Well, when a goat has the opposite of gestational diabetes, when they're toxemic, they need more sugar. they need a lot of sugar. The babies, they're not meeting their own energy demands. And so the babies are literally, for lack of a better way to explain it, eating them alive. And so toxemia is very dangerous. And so anyway, the reason I got on this sidebar is because if they go off feed once and they're showing other signs like, their bag's overdeveloped or suddenly developed, or, they maybe have some streaming. So that's like the amber colored goo. That's not just hanging a couple inches, but it's actually starting to hang. Like if there are other signs in there with going off of feed, I don't worry about it. And I do take that as an early sign. But if they're still 5 or 10 days away from delivery and then they go off feed, that's a sign that you need to check. You need to check their ketones. And that's a whole other video. I'm sorry, I've gotten off on a terrible sidebar, but yeah, so feed, udder development. You can learn to check ligaments. I haven't found them to be the most reliable. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry, I had to let my cat Lily in. She just has to be in the office with me. Okay, I have to get my... All right, so that's early labor. Those are the signs of early labor, or that labor is imminent. Now, once they actually lay down and start pushing, and if you are there for that portion of it, I only give them 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, especially if I'm there watching and I know when they started pushing, they have to start making, there has to be progress made. And the typical presentation is nose first with their 2 little hooves. I'm gonna jab myself in the face. Their 2 little hooves, their face resting on their 2 little hooves pointing out. That's the typical presentation. I have delivered, as you've seen in some of the videos, they come out any way they can. And so that's the easiest, that's the best way for them to come out. If there's no complications, 30 minutes, you should just be watching them little babies inch their way out with really good, strong pushes. With first timers, with those that have kidded for the first time, I'll give them sometimes 45 minutes just because this is their first time. They need those good pushes to help open up their pelvis. And their body needs that practice to get to, learn to get the baby out. And so I'll give them more time. But the key to saving babies and saving mom with goats, with all goats, is early intervention. And so, as I've said in my kidding kit video, it always breaks my heart when I see on Facebook or goat forums that, oh, my goat's been pushing for 12 hours and she's not made any progress. Should I do anything? And it's like, yes, like the kids are for sure dead by now, or it would be a shock if any of them were still alive. And she's under an immense amount of stress. And at that point, it would start to concern me that her cervix has already started to close. Just because if there's no progress made, if a kid is in a C shape and has their back to the exit, then they're not going to be putting proper pressure on the cervix anyway. Anyway, there's a lot of problems. So it's always, early intervention is always best, and not just early intervention for that. And I almost forgot one part. This was a mistake that we made early on. We didn't realize the importance of it, and I should have known. I've had 4 children. You don't want to pen your does up too early. And so let's say they have, or this is just my opinion, I'm sure others would disagree, and it also depends on the size of your pens. If you have really large kidding pens, then obviously it's totally fine. They have plenty of room. But ours are, I think they're 5x5s, 5x6, 5x5, 5x4, something like that. They're really small. And they are not adequate size enough for that doe to have enough room to move around, because the whole point of movement during labor is to help open up the pelvis and to help the babies get in position. And so if you lock her in a pen 5 days, a really tiny pen 5 days before she's, due to kid, I can't say that it'll cause problems, but it's not really going to help her with the movement part of labor. So if possible, obviously you don't want her dropping kids in a snowbank, but if possible, give her that room the closer that she gets to her due date so that she can really move around and help get those kids into a good position. I almost forgot that. Okay, so as you've seen, if you've watched our videos, one of the best pieces of advice that I could give just in general with, helping goats deliver is have a backup plan. So find a vet that you trust, be ready if you have to take, in our situation, we don't have vets that'll travel to us. There's one that will, but 9 times out of 10, he's telling me, well, you have to figure it out on your own. And that's fine. I can usually, but there are instances when I can't. And so have a backup plan. Are you going to the vet? Do you have a vet that'll come to you? Do you have another breeder in your area that's experienced? That can at least be a second set of eyes on whatever the problem is. Things like that. So just have a backup plan before your goats go into labor. Oh, and another part that I forgot to mention. So once labor starts, if there's not progress made at 30 minutes, or 45 for first timers, at least that's my rule of thumb, I go in and check. You put a glove on, you put lots of lube on, and you just go in and check. And when I say that, I have very, very small hands. I would argue that they're smaller than a kid's head. And so I'm very comfortable going into a doe. I know men that raise goats have very large hands. I feel very sorry for those goats, but the best advice that I can give when you go in, don't be afraid to go in, but don't go slow, go easy. You don't want to tear, you don't want to create more problems than what there could already be. And so just take your time. It's possible that, eventually you'll run into a cervix that isn't dilated. And with that, if you ever have to dilate the cervix, get lots of lube. And if you ever have to hand dilate it, because I've had to hand dilate a cervix before, and go very slow and easy. That is a muscle. It's a muscle that's tense and under pressure, and especially if she's been in duress for a while, just go easy. I've never been able to not dilate a cervix, but there have been some that have taken a lot of time and a lot of patience, and you have to go slow because you can tear the cervix. You can create other monster problems. And so if you ever need to dilate the cervix, number one, I would call your vet first just to get confirmation of what they suggest doing, or if they want to see the goat. But if you're comfortable, go slow, and you can help with guidance. You can dilate the cervix on your own if you're having that problem. But that in itself is kind of another problem. Okay, so once the kid has actually hit the ground, if I'm there, the first thing that I do, whether it be a first timer or an experienced doe, I take the kid and I put it in front of mom. Especially with first timers, they don't know what's just happened, and I want them to make that connection immediately that, okay, this is your baby and you have to take it. So here it is. Usually they start licking on him, and they may not be the most aggressive moms, but usually it clicks. Sometimes it doesn't, and so it takes some encouragement. But I put the kid in front of mom right away. With all does, I want the kids up and nursing within 30 minutes, because for every extra minute that kid, especially if it's chilly out, which usually it is when we're kidding, even in our kidding shed that's insulated and it's really temperate, there is still a chill in the air, and I want those kids up and moving. And so I'll give them 30 minutes, but then it's time to get up and go. And so I do the butt tickle. I've talked about in other videos where you just take your fingers and tickle their butt. It's meant to simulate what mom does when she's licking on them. And it usually works. That usually helps them, pop up off the ground, and then I just point them in the right direction usually. If I'm there, I don't allow more than an hour between kids. So if I know she's expecting multiples, to be honest with you, I don't even like to wait more than 30 minutes because she needs to be rolling. Now, I'll step out, once I know that the first kid's okay, usually I'll step out and give her space, but if she still doesn't make progress in 30 minutes, I'll go in and see what's going on. That may seem too invasive for some people, that may seem too rushed, but there's kind of a cycle that happens that I've noticed with goats, or at least with Boer goats, that the first kid drops, mom spends a lot of attention, a lot of time on the first kid, but once the first kid gets up to nurse, mom won't let the first kid nurse because she's not dropped the other kids yet. And I'm guessing that's because the action of nursing will stimulate contractions, which will then obviously create pain, and then it's a cycle that she doesn't want them to nurse because she's actually still in labor. And so if she's taking 4 hours to drop her other kids, even though the other kids may be okay, that's a long time, but the other kids may be okay, the first kid hasn't ate yet, and that's a problem for the first kid. And so I like to get them out. Let's get them out. Let's get everybody here. We can get everybody dried off, and then on mom. Now, I'm sure there are people that they don't like that because they want it to be the natural way. I'm all for the natural way, making mom do all of it, but I want everybody to survive the process and to be healthy. And so I would rather, and plus I'm a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids in the house, and so I can't be out in the barn for 5 hours. And so for me, we have to roll this along a little bit faster. So the babies are here, mom's healthy, babies are healthy, my kids are safe in the house. But anyway, that's just how I do things. So after that, let's see, for the afterbirth, it's not uncommon for the afterbirth to take up to 24 hours to drop, so I wouldn't panic right away. But if the afterbirth is still hanging after 24 hours, I'd call your vet. And I can't even remember because we haven't had it happen. I think they'll want you to give, is it oxytocin? It may be a shot of oxy, and I think that'll stimulate contractions, which will help her drop her afterbirth. You don't want a retained placenta, which is what that would be. That can cause an infection. It would cause an infection. So you want her to drop everything. Let's see, what else was I going to say? One thing that I don't do that I know some people will probably definitely disagree with, when I'm in a doe or manipulating kids, unless it is an exceptionally rough delivery, I usually don't give them a shot of penicillin. And that's because I know they're going to drop their afterbirth, and that afterbirth, when it's dropped, is in a sense like they're cleaning out, so they're taking everything. And when you watch their goats, when you watch your goats, I mean, when they deliver, they're up and down, the dirt's on the placenta. I mean, I trust that my clean glove is a lot cleaner than everything else that placenta and that their vulva is touching in the process. So anyway, I've never had a goat get an infection. Now I say that, knock on wood, and it'll happen now, but I've never had a goat retain a placenta or get a uterine infection. I'm sure at some point in the time that we have goats I will, but I haven't yet. But from my understanding, kind of with any infection, if you have a doe within, I would say, less than a week's time, if they are depressed, if they stop letting their kids nurse, if you notice an odor, if, let's see, what else did I have? If they have a fever, if they go off feed within that first week, I'm going to guess that you should probably be calling the vet for some strong antibiotics and maybe even some oxytocin. I think it's oxytocin, I'm not sure. Because she's probably has an infection. I haven't had an experience with that, but those would be the signs that I would watch for. Oh, look, it's Lily. But anyway, your does will be bloody for the next couple weeks. That's natural. That's nothing to be worried about. And the blood will kind of start to change colors, especially later on as she moves past her delivery date. Let's see. All right. Well, I think, sorry, I really blew through this. And I should also say, if you've made it this far in the video, I know that my situation is probably more unique to others because I stay home with the children. I'm always here with the goats. You're so fat. Look at you, fat cat. I'm always here to watch them, so I'm 9.9 times out of 10 always here to intervene on their behalf. And so I totally understand that, you know, most people watching this probably have, you know, an 8-to-5 job, or they're just not always there to watch their does. And that's okay. I'm not saying that, you know, every delivery is going to be bad. I'm not saying that there's always going to be issues. Most of the time you're going to come home to kids that are cleaned up. They were dropped just fine. There's no issues. This is just what I do, what I watch for. The best advice that I could give to somebody that is not going to be home when their doe's kid is make sure that they are in a secure place that is draft free, because the wind will definitely kill your babies before anything if it's cold out. The chill will kill them. And give her plenty of room to move around. So she has to be able to open up those hips, or her pelvis to get the babies out and to reposition them if she needs to. But I think, I'm sorry I blew through this so fast. I'm running out of time. I gotta get up and make bottles for the bottle babies, and then I gotta rush out the door as soon as Brandon gets back. But anyway, have I introduced Lily? This is Lilybug. She's my cat. But anyway, I think that's it. I'm sorry. I know it was rushed, but I mean, I watch for bag and behavior. I give them 30 minutes once they start pushing to deliver the kids, and then really absolutely no more than an hour between kids once they've actually dropped their first kid. I put the kid in front of them. They have 30 minutes to nurse. Let's see. I mean, really, that's kind of it. Okay, I wanted to get this video done because I know I have people that I've said I would do it for, and I just haven't had time. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask down below. But otherwise, I think I just heard Brandon get home and he's going to be mad that I haven't made the bottles yet, so okay. I will catch you later. Well, hello again. It hit me that there was one part of my video earlier that I forgot to add, and that part is, and it may sound kind of strange, so hear me out, but I actually withhold their grain and their hay for a few hours immediately after birth, and my reasoning for that is, and it's more so common with first-time moms, but I have other moms that they're good moms, but they'll do this too. If you put feed in front of mom too soon after birth, so if the kids aren't up yet, if they still need to be cleaned, if they haven't nursed yet, if you put feed out, hay, grain, whatever, they're more likely to turn and eat and solely pay attention to that. And first timers, yes, but not necessarily. First timers may forget that they have kids if you put feed in front of them too quick, and then even good moms, their second, third, however many times around, they just may be more prone to eat. That's just, I don't know, that's just a goat. So now my best moms, they won't. They'll stay and clean, and it won't matter what you put in front of them. But so I tend to withhold food until I know that the babies are up, they've been cleaned. I'm convinced that mom, there's no problems, especially with first timers, mom's taking them. And that they've nursed. And so then I'll put grain and hay out for them. But otherwise it's just, and there are some moms, actually that's another point, there are some moms that, my best moms like Mystique or even One Horn or Crazy, they won't let their kids nurse while they eat. I don't know why, they just don't. And so if you're trying to get those new babies, up off the ground to eat, and you have mom eating herself eating grain or hay or whatever, and she doesn't want them to nurse off her while she's eating, that could create problems too. And so that's just another thing that we do. It probably sounds strange because your first instinct is, oh, well, mom has to eat. Well, from my experience, especially with first timers, it can create more of a hassle because they'll get distracted, or they won't want to, like my best moms, like I said, even they won't want to let the kids nurse while they eat. So that's just my experience. All goats are so different, whether it be their labor signs, how they are after they kid. I have some, like in my next group, I have a couple does that are so super sweet before they kid. They're super nice does. And then after they kid, they do not want me in the pen. They get kind of snippy, and they're very protective, and they're just really good moms, and that's how I want them. And so they're doing their job, and again, like I said, they're all different. Their personalities, their behaviors, how they are, before they kid, while they're in labor, after they kid. And so anyway, I hope these tips, it was a little more scatterbrained than what I wanted to be, the earlier video. But it's been super busy here with children and goat kids and goats and getting ready for the next group to kid. So I hope you found this helpful. Don't be afraid to ask if you have questions, or if you need me to clarify something. I'm more than happy to help. But with that, I think I have one more labor and delivery video that I will put up, and then we'll start working on getting goats moved again and working on getting the next group ready to kid. So with that, we'll catch you in the next video.